Over the last while, I've had a few people asking me regarding what my thoughts are on the potential upcoming new Nikon D850, and also why I'm not doing very many videos about photography at the moment. And there's two reasons that I haven't bothered doing much on photography. One, I'm just too busy. Being a family man, doing lots of stuff on my exercise and vegan channel, that my photography stuff, because I'm doing photography full time every day, I kind of like to just not talk about photography at the moment. At the end of work. So, but additionally, the second reason is that I'm just not interested. This may sound bad. I'm just not really that interested in the new tech that's coming out, especially from Nikon or Canon. Everything that comes out from Nikon and Canon, there's so I don't know whether there's so many fanboys that are expecting something that they didn't want or they didn't get or blah blah blah, that there is always some bitching and moaning about the new cameras that come out. So in other words, there's a potential new Nikon D850, 850, and the Nikon D800, a 36 megapixel beast, the D810, another 36 megapixel beast with a bit more stuff to it. All take amazing, fantastic, super high resolution photos. The 36 megapixels is higher than what Hasselblad was making a camera for about £8,000. Dollars. No, I think it was £8,000 before you even add on any lens, which only had 31 megapixels, and that was a Hasselblad. And everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's amazing!" You're like, "Yeah, whoop to do." Oh, 16-bit. You're like, "Yeah, we can see that." No printer can, no computer screen can, your eyes can't. So that's a waste of time. I don't know anybody that actually goes, I just can't shoot in 12-bit RAW anymore. I need to shoot in 14-bit. You know, there's so much kind of bullshit out there that that the higher end spec stuff is just like nobody knows and nobody cares and nobody can see the difference. So yeah, with Hasselblad pumping out 8, 9, 10,000 pound cameras that go on about over 16-bit, and you've got Nikon already at maybe like the £2,500 region, producing 36 megapixel images with fantastic dynamic range, fantastic color depth, all that kind of stuff. It's just fun. It's just a brilliant camera. But for me, it's a bit too big. It's a bit too heavy, and for me, I feel a bit of those cameras are like dinosaurs now. They are the cars which are still made out of steel and iron instead of aluminium and carbon fiber. So my aluminium and carbon fiber are my Micro Four Thirds, or my mirrorless cameras, the one with the electronic viewfinder with my in-camera image stabilization, in-lens image stabilization that can communicate with one another. It's the one which is really small, can fit in my pocket. These are the sports cars compared to the tanks, which are the D800s. Which again, I'm not making that a diss. I'm making it. It's not my bag. I'm not needing to go off-road in a tank in a field, because my kind of shooting is taking photos of the family, taking photos while I go hill walking, taking photos in my car, in town, maybe the odd festival event is not in the rain, in the snow, as it's snowing down on me, of major sporting events, which, again, if you are shooting major sporting events, these cameras are definitely for you. But for 90% of photographers out there, it's like, what was it? I've got a couple of people who are street photographers, and they do great portraits and all that kind of stuff, and they're getting like the Canon 5D blah blah blah. I'm like, what are you really gaining from it? Granted, they're printing out posters which are pretty big, but at the same time, if I give you an example, like this poster here, or this canvas, is quite big. I'd call that quite big, but obviously it can go much bigger. That was taken with a Nikon D300, a 12 megapixel camera, but that was the central crop of 4 megapixels. So when you can get a 4 megapixel image that goes that big, I've also got a 9 megapixel image currently at Edinburgh Airport of the fireworks at Edinburgh, and it's a poster which is about the size of this room, and that is only a 9 megapixel image. I'm not that fussed by, I'm trying to see if I've got any other examples, I'm not that fussed by super ultra mega resolutions at the moment, but some people will be, and some people will have like advertising campaigns, and they'll have whole teams of people that will be doing the editing and post work on their images, rather than, you know, if you're a single person on your own, great high resolution image of a sunset, whoop-de-doo. Are you really getting much more than a 20 megapixel 8 frames a second sensor stabilized camera like you are, and this with a fully variable touchscreen at the back? It's just it's like, so the new Nikon D850, they're saying it's going to be like 46 megapixels. That's more than double this, which is amazing. So this is 20 megapixels. I never give any of my clients 20 megapixels. Pretty much, I compress all mine down to about a 9 or 10 megapixels at the most. And that's for like printing for brochures and stuff like that. SnapBridge technology, Nikon SnapBridge, it better be an improved version. It can't not be an improved version of SnapBridge. Nikon's Wi-Fi ability is so shit. It's unreal. Like this is an absolute phenomenon, especially with portraits for a lot of companies I've shot for. You just turn on the Wi-Fi, stick my iPad in the corner, I could be shooting here, people can be looking while they're doing their poses, they can be looking down at the iPad going, oh yeah, there's my photo instantaneously. And they can even kind of go, oh, I need to do up my tie. Instead of having to look in a mirror, they can go, oh, my tie needs to be done, that looks good. And then I can just carry on taking photos. And it's pretty much seamless. It works instantly. Especially with the GX8 as well, that was particularly special because it didn't need like codes and passwords and all that kind of stuff. Just like turn it on, set up the iPad, oh, it's connected, oh, it's on, it's working, fantastic, it's a piece of cake. So the Nikon SnapBridge just doesn't work. Even, what was it, Tony Northrup did a video where they were trying to get it to work with the D500. And it just failed to the point where he was swearing on camera. Hearing Tony Northrup swearing on camera is a beautiful thing. If I can find the link to it, it's so, I think it was like one of his hidden videos that he's put, so it's just like, it's not on his actual on his channel, but if you had the link to it, it's him just going, how the fuck am I meant to deal with this? It was brilliant. So this new camera's going to have a tiltable screen. A D810 didn't have that. Tiltable, again, I had that with the Nikon D750, and I don't find it that useful. The tiltable screen it was quite stiff, and it was just an extra clunky bit in it. It wasn't smooth and easy to use. Again, if I can use this as an example, it's a simple, it's so nice and easy, and you can always do it with just 2 little fingers, and it's very nice and easy, and it spins round, and it's then protected if you have it the other way as well. So protected, or you can have it there. So it's just like that. That's how good it is. The one which I had on the D750 and on the D500 was built to be rugged, but with that it made it more difficult, and then ultimately do something I didn't ever really use. Granted, there's a couple of times where you're shooting where you're head up like that, but a lot of the time I'd be using such a wide angle lens, I would just kind of go, can't be bothered pulling in and out the tiltable screen. I'll just hold it up and take a photo and hope for the best. And that usually works. So the tiltable screen is built for ruggedness, but with that it becomes less useful, or less functional. They're also saying it's a touchscreen. Good, but not totally touchscreen. You can swipe through menus, but you can't. Well, it says it supports touch autofocus. I'll be interested to see how well that works. Again, Panasonic have been doing that for years with no problem. You can even do touch autofocus via your iPad. So once you've connected your iPad up with your camera, you can focus on you can touch parts of your screen on your iPad, and the camera will focus from another area. You don't even need to touch your camera, and you can make it focus on certain things. So yeah, I'll be interested to see if their SnapBridge. a multi-billion-dollar company like Nikon can't get the software engineers to get that to work properly. It's like, are they putting no money into it whatsoever? Okay, what you are getting with a full frame is possibly better autofocus, shallower depth of field, and also with the autofocus, it's the low light autofocus abilities that you're getting. So if you are again shooting in nightclubs, I don't think you want to take a D850 into a nightclub. Who wants 46 megapixel images of drunks in a club? Okay, that's not happening. Unless you're doing some art, some theatres, some festival theatres, and it's fairly low light, then yeah, that's where the autofocus will come in handy when you're not using a flash and the flash isn't pumping its like red lights onto the subject. So it's saying it's down to -3 EV or -4 EV, which means pretty much you can focus in total darkness. That's going to be quite good. And the rest, yeah, the 8K time-lapse video capabilities, effectively, that's just an in-camera time-lapse editing thing, so that's kind of cool. You've kind of had that on a GoPro. Okay, maybe it wasn't 8K. 8K, yeah, 8K. Future, what do you call it? Future-proofing your camera there. Again, not a huge number of people that are A, either doing time-lapse, B, doing high-resolution time-lapse, C, editing and exporting and showing them to anyone. So, again, a very minute audience going on there. 4K Ultra HD video recording in full format with no crop. That's something which everyone's been wanting for a while. It doesn't say it's frames per second, so it could be 24, 25, 30. Some people are hoping for 60 frames a second. I doubt that's going to happen. That'll put a lot of heat into the sensor. So I think you're probably still looking at a maximum of 30 frames a second video footage going on there. But yeah, something which everyone has been wanting is the full sensor coverage of 4K. However, the amount of cameras that have come out which have been high definition, ultra high definition, and whether it has used the whole sensor or not, there's always been issues with things called pixel binning or line binning, where effectively it's not really 4K because it's having to find bits which aren't there and crop them or cut them out in each frame, or it's taking each individual separate line, and it's all going a bit funky. And sometimes I've seen cases where 1080 has looked better than 4K, just because the 4K is sometimes not real, or it is real, but it's just because it's 4K doesn't automatically mean it's going to look better. You can have some. I know of was it Philip Bloom? He's done a few videos where he's saying there's some 10K, there's some 1080 which is better than another 1080, and it's not about the ISO or anything like that. It's just some sensors read 1080 better than others, and you get a better image from it. And it's the same with 4K as well. A lot of the cameras with 4K were doing kind of a middle sensor crop, so they weren't binning any pixels, so it looked like a clean image. But the ones which have been using the full sensor are kind of going, hey, hold on, we're going from 46 megapixels of lots of dots, and we need to somehow get it down to effectively 8 megapixels of lines. And the software engine is down to software rather than it is to tech going on there. No electronic viewfinder or hybrid viewfinder. Boo! That's what I love. It was really weird for me. I've been using Micro Four Thirds mirrorless cameras now for 3-4 years now, and I picked up somebody's. I picked up my Dinosaur, my Fuji S5 Pro, best dynamic range in the world camera, and picked this one up, and I was like, hold on, I'm changing the settings. Why isn't it changing? It still looks exactly the same. How do I know what the exposure is going to be? Hold on, I need to take a photo to find out what it's going to look like. So yeah, once you go mirrorless, you don't go back. And the only other example I've got of people not going back is I'm part of a few camera sales groups on Facebook, and the amount of people selling their full frame Nikons, their full frame Canons, their full frame, even their full frame Sonys, like the Sony, whatever they were, The amount of times I go, oh, you're selling all your Nikon gear, all your Canon gear. What's going on? They're like, heading over to micro or heading over to mirrorless. You're like, ooh, right, okay. So it seems like I see more people selling. No, I pretty much only see people selling digital SLRs. Barely anybody selling mirrorless at the moment. Granted, there's obviously people are moving over, but generally everyone's like, yeah, I'm just fed up of carrying this massive dinosaur, this effective paperweight, when you can get effectively more ability from smaller cameras. Granted, we'll need to have more batteries, but at the same time, it's like it's brilliant. It's saying it can do high slow motion, full HD, 120 frames a second. That's nice. Liking that. That would be very good. SD card slot. So it's going to be an SD and XQD. Again, I don't know anybody that has an XQD card or a card reader. Not the most handy thing if you're like, let's say you're shooting on location, you need to dump all your images, and let's say you're like, oh no, I've forgotten something. Pretty much anywhere, any office you go into will have a memory card reader. Every computer will have a memory card reader, unless you're a MacBook user, one of the new MacBooks. Yeah, that doesn't have a memory card reader. So yeah, fortunately it's got an SD card slot. So yeah, keep that. Don't get rid of that. Live view, silent shooting. I'm always confused about that. But what they're saying is with no mechanical movement. You're like, finally you've got an electronic shutter, which is what again the Micro Four Thirds have had for years. Meaning you can have totally silent photos, which is great at weddings, which is great at what was it? I was listening to the radio the other day, and it was some footballer was like getting fired, and you couldn't actually hear the manager talking because all you heard was it's like all the photographers. It's a man sitting down going, "We're not keeping him on for another season," going mental. And there's all the people with the massive cameras just kind of going, if you just went in with one of these, you're going to get the same kind of image and it can be totally silent and we can actually hear what the manager is saying to people. So yeah, no mechanical shutter, silent photos is what we've been wanting for a long time. It's been kind of retarded that they haven't done that in the past. It surely isn't that difficult. Yeah, and it's saying it can shoot 30 frames a second at 8 megapixels, which is 4K. So 4K. Yeah, so yeah, we're kind of expecting that electronic shutter. Improved battery life, it's already got a massive battery life. Improved ISO, that's amazing. Its ISO ability is fantastic. And it's saying it can do 9 frames a second, 7 frames a second without the grip, 9 frames a second with the grip. The grip is an extra probably £300 or $350 or something. So hey, that's another good marketing thing. Oh, you can do an extra 2 frames a second if you pay us an extra several £100. You've got to be pretty sure that that extra 2 frames a second is worth £400 or however much it's going to cost, because you need an extra battery as well. And meanwhile, you can still get a Micro Four Thirds for a whole camera for £1,000, well under £1,000, and it can do 8 frames a second. Or you can go into super high burst mode where you're just shooting JPEGs and it does like 40 frames a second, something ridiculous. So yeah, 14-bit RAW, big whoop-de-doo, no AA filter, whoop-de-doo. Built-in focus stacking, nobody's going to deal with that. So I was like, nobody's going to do in-camera focus stacking apart from total noobs that kind of go, what is this? And they'll take a couple photos of a bunch of coins in a row with a macro lens, and they go, oh, I use it all the time. You're like, nah, you don't. You've done 10 photos with it to show that you can do it, and try and make a business out of macro photography, but just use some flash and a larger depth of field. Come on. So yeah, the people that do actual focus stacking, it is serious software intensive editing that's required for that. So yeah, the fact it's good doing camera is going to be very unlikely anyone's actually going to use that. New natural light auto white balance. Oh, it's always got a new white. Every camera that comes out from Nikon or Canon is like, it's like, okay, we've got our 15 things. We said we're going to have 16. What else can we say is going to be better? Oh, better white balance? Oh, everyone wants better white balance. You're like, we've improved that somehow. We know that white is more white. Yes, and black is more black. But let's just add that in, Yes, now we've got 16 bits, 16 things that are better than before. New white balance. Nobody gives a fuck because you're using RAW. Well, you should be using RAW if you're using a 46 million pixel full frame camera. So if you, it's like the auto white balance is great if you're shooting JPEGs. Again, this camera is not the kind of camera for shooting JPEGs. It's not going to be a sports camera because, well, it could be a sports camera, but if you are, let's say, doing the Olympics, the Commonwealth Games, or something like that, you're shooting not high resolution like that, and you're needing to get your images off to print ASAP. So you're shooting JPEGs, but you wouldn't be doing it with that camera because the files would just be too big. So what you're really doing is probably with a, what would you be doing it with? The Nikon D3S or D4 kind of stuff. So yeah, so there you go. I think it's got to be a fantastic camera. I just think nobody really needs it. I just think for £4,500 or £3,000, everyone's like, oh, it's not game changing. It's minor improvements, a little bit more ISO, a little bit more frames a second, a little bit more resolution, a little bit more battery life, a little bit different screen, which, yeah, they all add up, but I don't think they all add up to £3,500 worth of camera. If you are, let's say if you're upgrading from a much lower end camera, like a Nikon D7300 or something, the jump up to this will be monumental. However, if you're already in the Nikon D800, even the D610, D750, D750 to this, I'm like, nah, you're probably not going to need it. D800, D810 up to this, unless your current cameras are destroyed and knackered and falling apart, nah, not that fussed by it. For me, there's just nothing here that this camera would make my job easier, my actual photography life more enjoyable or better. It would be bigger files, longer editing. In terms of work-wise, all that extra guff that comes with it, completely useless and completely unused. In terms of having fun with photography, walking around with this hanging around my neck, which is going to be a lot of weight, and I'm going to be the photographer that goes everywhere. Meanwhile, this is great. Certainly at the weekends, I can just go out anywhere with my family and friends and just be a guy with a camera taking some photos. However, so many photographers out there that I know, well, actually, hold on, I'll say this again. So many photographers that I know out there don't like being photographers at the weekend. When you're a full-time professional photographer, you like doing other stuff other than photography at the weekend. If you are an enthusiast and somebody that's getting into photography, then this camera is the one for you. If you haven't already got an awesome camera. So yeah, that's everyone's like, oh, it's for professionals. It's for professionals. Professional photographers, a lot of the time, don't have the need or the time for a camera as high spec as this. And like, what was it? There's a advertising company that they edit all the images for like milkshakes in the UK or wherever it is, and they get their stock photographers to send them files for them to edit, to stick the graphics on, to stick on the side of a bus, and they say no more than 12 megapixels. Because if it's more than 12 megapixels, their in-house editing team have so much more time to have to edit all the little bits, maybe the strand of hair, the eyelash that's in the wrong place, the spot that's here and there. There's like, if you go higher resolution, the editing time afterwards is just a ball ache. So they're just like, so the photographers themselves may be shooting with that, but they're still delivering only like 12 megapixels to a lot of the stock and advertising agencies. So yeah, it's kind of improvement for improvement's sake, but not necessarily making anything that much better, if that makes any sense. Yeah, it's a bit like Ferrari coming out with a new Ferrari. You're like, it's an amazing car, but is it worth £200,000 more than my current Ferrari that I've got? And if you've got that money and you've got that time to be driving that Ferrari, go for it. However, if you're a taxi driver and your everyday job is driving people around. So like for me, my everyday job is property photography. Suddenly owning a Ferrari as a taxi driver isn't that useful. Can't get more people in the car, can't do more jobs, can't go anywhere faster because you're still going to be stuck in traffic. The costs are going to be more, the fuel's going to be more, the insurance is going to be more. Yeah, I think that's probably the best way to describe it. The Nikon D850 is like a Ferrari to a taxi driver. Looks great, sounds amazing, totally pointless. Anyway, there you go. That's my thoughts on the Nikon D850. If you've got the money and you've got the time and you've got a low-end camera and you're upgrading, go for it. If you don't have the money and you're kind of going, oh, I need to get a loan for this, don't do it. If you're going, I shoot so many events and concerts, I need this camera, like, no you don't, no you don't. It's going to slow everything up. So just appreciate it for what it is, but don't think it's a game changer or the camera that everyone's going to get. I'm sure the sensor is going to be fantastic. I'm sure people are going to make amazing images with it, but at the same time, the amount of people I've seen taking amazing images with 12 megapixels. In fact, just go online and look up the Nikon D3X and the marketing images that you got from that. A good photographer will take great images pretty much no matter what camera they've got. So there you go. That was a bit philosophical at the end there. Okay, cheers. Bye-bye.